Hello, everyone, and welcome back to block party number 98, where we're now entering the amazing zone of accelerated collective evolution led by my beloved brother, Dharmendra, who will lead us from this point forward. Take it away, Dharmendra. We love you, brother. Welcome.
Thank you, Jamin, for that wonderful introduction. Today, we're going to be taking a look at life code number 23. And what I want to do today, since this is being recorded, the first 15 minutes or so of this every time is being recorded. For anybody who is curious about what we do during this session, this serves as an introduction to the work we will do after the 15-minute introduction when we go into a breakout room, which won't be recorded because it's quite deep work. So can everybody see the PowerPoint slide there?
Yes, we can. You might want to put it in full screen mode or a slideshow view.
No, because I only want to do this one.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, so I'm just going to leave it as is because I'm just going to give a short intro into what we're going to be doing today. But before I do that, I just want to kind of add a little bit more about the purpose of this segment of the block party, the accelerated collective evolution. And one of the things I would like to say is that, and this is directly in relation to the 23rd life code that we are going to be going into this afternoon. And the first thing I want to acknowledge is that we are building a collective of conscious individuals that will have a mutative impact on the world at large. And that's what we're going to be working on today, is about having a mutative impact on the world at large. And we're going to go through that in the work we do in the breakout room. And one of the things we're going to be looking at is how effective is what we say in terms of insightful impact on supporting the direction we are going in. In other words, how efficient is our message at creating the kind of responses we'd like to see happen. So I'll go through what's up here on the screen, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. So this life code is called the gate of assimilation. In human design, and in the traditional I Ching hexagrams, it's the gate of splitting, or the hexagram of splitting apart. It is the taking of an insight and giving it a voice. That is really the essence of what this life code is about. So we have to find a way to basically structure an insight in a way that makes sense to our fellow beings, and also in a way that is mutative. And because if it is an insight, it's going to have an impact in the world around us. It's going to change things, we hope, for the better. The shadow is basically overcompensating, and that's what I call it, overcompensation, which leads to complexity, which is the Gene Keys term for it. I say overcompensation as it is an imbalance resulting from insight that has been negatively mutated by acquired conditioning, which means we are distracted and we are adding a lot of unnecessary information to the basic message we want to put across from our insight. The gift is synchronization, I call it, is attunement. And what we're synchronizing to is basically we'll get into this a little more in the work we're going to do, a sound form, it's kind of like the vibrational version of a fractal hologram. And if you don't know what that means, that's a great thing to Google, fractal hologram. It's really when you can share an insight that impacts the world around you in a way that is positive. In this way, that things can mutate in a way that improves the situation for yourself and others. The result is you are synchronized with the greater world around you, attuned to what's needed, because you have obviously taken in something from somewhere. Even if you don't understand what that somewhere is, you're able to convey it to others. And the city is ipseity. Ipseity means the thing in itself. And the thing in itself means the actual sound form that's an actual vibrational pattern. That is, and this is going to sound quite highfalutin, but it's actually true, what the universal life force uses to encapsulate wisdom to create mutation in life, in all forms of life. That's basically how all forms of life mutate. And we're going to look at that in the city today, and we're going to call in a creative fractal hologram, which is just a fancy way of saying a reduced, miniaturized version of the sound vibrational creative energy of the totality, however you want to call that, the whole universe. And we are, each one of us humans, a sound encoded crystallized form of that. Ipseity is non-differentiation, and that what that means is that you are at one with whatever the creative energy is that needs to come through your voice and impact others. They say in the beginning, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, et cetera, et cetera. There is a truth to that, because creative sounds are what actually bring things into existence. And that's what we are doing, is conveying an epiphany. And to convey an epiphany is to give the quintessence, which is the essence of the essence. And that's where we get this thing about the fractal hologram. And you have to be ready for it. You have to be in a place where not only does it impact you, but there's no barrier in you at the deepest levels. And at the moment it impacts, it's going to have an effect in the world around you that is transformative. Because if you are buzzing with a creative sound, anything you touch is going to take on that sound, and it's going to change whatever you touch. It is mutative in a way that allows everything, as I just said, everything you're in touch with to evolve, to go beyond prior limitations. Because that's the whole point, is to make things, the message you're giving across, that's mutative. And the reason there's a mutation is something needs to change. The old way is no longer working, and a new way needs to come through. So that's kind of just a very simple kind of way of looking at this life code, and a little metaphor that will help us kind of tune into it also is, think of the stages of a building project. In the beginning, there's the architectural drawings, overall comprehensive view, and there's a complexity of details. It's just, if you've ever looked at an architectural sequence of drawings of a building, it'll just make your head spin, and you basically just the complexity of it is ridiculous. And that's, funny enough, it's all in the mind. But in this sense, it's a positive thing, because that drawing, when used in the correct way, in stages, and taken in stages, then you actually get into the actual phases of the construction itself. And then the architectural drawing serves for the overview and then the coordination of the different phases. And that becomes more, when it becomes simple, when you actually step by step, one thing at a time, get into and take on each stage of the project. And when you actually start, digging the trenches and putting in the rebar and pouring the concrete, et cetera, each one of those stages is relatively simple, because that's what takes the complexity and brings it into simplicity, is by being in the moment and taking one thing at a time, and actually using your hands to create something, which is also very connected with this life code, because it allows you to actually come into the timing of the creative flow of things, and we create with our hands. And you get a practical sequencing and a timeline planning, and that's all part of, once all those things are put in place and you step into those timelines and manifest those parts of the plan, it's simple, because it's just what's in front of you and whatever you can do with it. And then ultimately the city, the quintessence, is going to be the finished product and the purpose it serves. And in the ancient times, they used to bring together the intention and attention, alignment, and actualization through sacred ceremonies to concentrate a building for whatever purpose it was created for. And that kind of gives a bit of the flavor of how we're going to tap into the quintessence today, the city. The theme today is the 23rd life code, which is what I'm going through. Hi, Sarah. So that's a lot of part of giving, kind of like the timing, the very way a building was consecrated, the very way that was expressed. Oh, here's somebody who I invited in. Her name is Shelley. Hi, Shelley. I'm glad you could make it. Wonderful. Just saw you come in there. Beautiful. I'm just at the end of I'm getting toward the the middle of the introduction here of the 23rd Life Code is what we're working with today. And I basically talking about the shadow of complexity, the gift of simplicity, and the city of quintessence. And just for a little more on quintessence, it's as the essence of the essence. To get a little bit metaphysical, but in a very practical way, is like I was saying. Is it's a create. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Shelley. I realized you were because I saw your picture earlier, but then I saw you jump back in. So anyway, so I've already explained what the quintessence is kind of like the Holy Grail in a sense, but it's in the sense of a sound vibration. It's creative sounds. Hebrew is a really good language that talks about sounds and the way they're expressed, that they actually carry the creative energy of what they're expressing. And that starts to get into what actually the quintessence is in relation to this life code. Because basically it's expressing an insight where mutation can occur so that life becomes more efficient for all of us. That's the whole point of it. And that always comes through an individual, and it's always shared out into the collective. And one thing I just wanted to say a little bit to bring out a little bit more what cities are. A city is the power to embody the higher purpose of bringing the appropriate gift to the presenting shadow as needed in response, and that would be immediate, appropriate, and available, or intentionally in a teaching format for the benefit of others. So bottom line is, when you are able to start to teach these cities, it means you can actually intentionally invoke the energy of them into a space for a collective benefit. And once learned, as it is a learning of essence, all cities are a learning of essence, it will be available in response in the future when and where needed as the situation permits. Because once you're imprinted at an essential level, that's a permanent thing. You don't ever lose that, because it's not based on memory. It's based on your energy field and specific imprinting in your energy field of sacred geometry, of quintessential patterns that once they start resonating, they're in harmony with the whole of your energy field, and they help your energy field to be more intelligent and more efficient in this world. And something interesting to think about is the number of possible what are called base expressions of one life code. Is that just this one life code we're dealing with has 1,080 variations. So in the end, you have close to 69,000 different possible expressions of a city, and multiply that by the number of people that have these cities in life that they've been born with in this world. Yeah, and you can see that it's virtually limitless. And that's why I say every time we step into a city space and we're tapping into the collective energy of the whole, meaning, not only the planet, but the greater environment, universal environment, we're always going to pick up a new current of a city, because there's just virtuously a limitless number of ways to experience every single life code, at minimum 1,080. And that's just of the life codes themselves, not the humans that embody it, because every human will embody it with their own unique genetic imprinting from their lineage of beings that have come before them and contributed to it. Yeah, and so I'll just say one thing, and then we're going to jump into the breakout room. But what I was trying to express, the quintessential holographic fractal pattern within us, originating in the universal life force as the embodied wisdom of the central creative principle, which brings to life the action of the universal laws operating behind and responsible for the world of appearances. That's what we're tapping into. I'm glad that was recorded, because you can always go back and listen to that. But that's exactly what we're tapping into, that is going to mutate something in the world through this voice. This is a voice, by the way, a mutated voice that's coming out of an individual, and it's going to impact the collective, hopefully in a practical way. So that's kind of the introduction. And any of you out there that are listening to this in the future that have never been in one of these breakout rooms, I invite you to join us, because that's where we're about to go. So see you later.